Steven Pettigrew, welcome to Focus on the Fun Stuff.
Pleasure, Emma. Thanks very much for the invitation.
You are a very honoured guest today because this is actually the first time we've ever recorded remotely. As soon as we've been introduced recently, as soon as I heard you were in Dubai, I knew there wasn't any immediate opportunity of me going out to Dubai. I really wanted to do the podcast. I thought we're gonna go for it. We're gonna do it remotely. So, this is my first time today. So, welcome to the Focus on the Fun Stuff virtual studio.
Hopefully the Wi-Fi is strong enough and
Yeah.
you don't get any more missiles coming in that affects the Wi-Fi here in Dubai.
God. Well, we're going to get into a little bit later on about Dubai as well, because I haven't had anyone on yet where we've talked about making the decision to move you and your family to Dubai. It's obviously been a very hot topic over the past 12 months of Dubai and you being the new entrepreneurial Disneyland, and the UK is going down the drain and all of that stuff that we see online. But Stephen, so you help businesses and you help business owners fundamentally scale and grow, scale and exit their business, but ultimately so that it's not founder dependent, which is definitely what the Focus on the Fun Stuff is all about. I don't think you can really get to that place of loving your business if you're totally founder dependent all the time. But you're helping businesses. Your previous, like when you were kind of in the world of running your own business, which started when you were 13, was it that you were first exposed to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I've been in entrepreneurship indirectly since I was a kid. So when I was 3 or 4, my mum and dad started a business in the UK, and I kind of always got exposed to that. So yeah, when you mentioned when I got to the age of 13, that's when I started working in the business during school holidays, Easter holidays. And at the time, I really resented that because as a 13-year-old kid, you want to go and just play with friends,
Yeah.
Play football. But at the time, it was good because you're learning a lot of things, you're learning discipline. The reason I was put into that business from an early age was to get a work ethic, understand what running a business was like. So I would be in the warehouse, wasn't anything glamorous. I'd be in the warehouse doing all the labouring work. And then eventually, as I left school, at 17 or 18, I was then in the office and then gradually worked my way up in the business.
And so so this business was doing 35 million. You were the operations director. So I've got a similar guy in my business that's kind of done every single role. I guess you did every single role in that business, like you knew it inside out, worked your way up to operations director. And then you were around 23 when you left that business?
Yeah, so coming through the business, I was put into different scenarios to start learning basic skills, people skills, how to manage people, how to interact with people. Because I suppose a lot of kids these days don't really have that in a real business. It's very much online, a lot of it. So that was good from understanding communication and work ethic. So yeah, by the time, when you say 35 million, that is the headline figure. And it was doing 35 million for 5 or 6 years at the end. But clearly, it didn't start that way. There was a lot of, I remember my mum and dad working all sorts of crazy hours when I was a kid. And it was 365 days a year. It was intense. And it was a lot of sacrifice to get to that point. And I suppose it gave me that insight into what it takes to build a business. And it's not easy.
No, it's not. Where was it at when you joined the business? Was there like a growth period, like quite a growth period towards the end of the business?
Yeah, so the business was running for, 23 years. And the first few years, like any business, it's tough. You're trying to, like there's not a manual for running a business, is there? So you have to learn how to cash flow. You have to learn how to hire. You have to learn everything about running a business that no one teaches you. So my mum and dad definitely made a lot of mistakes. I joined the business, as I say, full-time when I was 18. By that time, we were pretty big already. I think we probably had 200 staff, maybe, and a couple of depots across the UK. During that time, that final few years that I was involved, the 6 or 7 years, maybe longer, we started acquiring some businesses. We started taking bigger contracts.
Oh wow!
Just getting into different things, and it was a great experience to be involved in.
So it's obviously given you like the most amazing, similar with my business. I started when I was 26, and I always say that that's given me like the degree in business that you would never have got at university. Like I dropped out of uni. So you've kind of like been exposed to everything, acquiring businesses, scaling, people management, strategy, everything goes with it. And so from like your experience in that business, tell us a little bit more about now how you help business owners.
So when I left that business, I started some businesses on my own, had some failures, had a couple that actually worked, and then started educating myself in different ways. One of them being how to buy businesses and how to help them to grow and scale. So certainly something I got education on, but also from running my own businesses and being in the family business. So when I started mentoring other business owners, whether it was on a partnership basis or just as a one-to-one client basis, it was something I enjoyed, because despite being the operations director of that big family business, 400 staff, I was responsible for all those people. The one thing that I realised was that I don't like managing people. I very much preferred the one-to-one thing with the founder. So I don't really have the patience for managing the staff. As bad as that might sound, that's not my
No, it doesn't sound bad at all. I think most people will be nodding and listening. I don't know many business owners that actually really love that part of it. It's kind of just you need to do it, don't you? But I don't think many people.
I'm guessing you see quite a few people that come into your world that have got maybe the same problem.
No, definitely, and even myself, like my team know, and for sure Matt, who is my operations manager and manages our PA department, he knows that just isn't where my energy flourishes the most in managing the team, and he takes as much of that as possible, because I don't know, as the business owner, I think you've almost got a responsibility to live in your energy, haven't you? Your good energy, because it flows through to everything else. So yeah, I don't think you're on your own with that.
I say on other podcasts I've been on that being a manager is the worst job in the company, because you just get everyone else's shit that comes to your desk all the time, and you've got to soak it in and give it back, so
totally
it's not enjoyable.
No. So at the moment then, I guess your expertise has had to go in a few different areas. So obviously every founder wants to get out of the weeds. They want to sell, scale. Not everybody wants to exit, but I think that founder dependency is a really key thing. And now obviously we've got this additional curveball that's been thrown to everyone, which is AI, and making sense of that, and whether it's replacing or supporting. And so how is that with the clients that you have now and the people that you're helping to, like, how are you approaching that AI conversation with them? Is it kind of a support or replace, or I guess it's not one size fits all with it as well?
Yeah, I've pivoted quite a bit even in the last few months with AI, because I use it a lot, but we were talking off air, there's a lot of overwhelm with AI, and people focus on AI tools that don't actually help them or their business. It's just nice to have. And I know someone we both really respect, Daniel Priestley, talks about a few different thoughts with AI before maybe going into AI. The business side of it, he talks about a lifestyle business or a performance business. And when I help businesses, it's to help them build a performance style business. And I see AI as a tool more than anything else. It's just a tool. It's like anything else. It's there to facilitate growing your profits, getting you more leads into the business, improving your cash flow, decreasing the amount of admin time maybe they're spending. But I see so many people that are trying to build apps. They're trying to just random things that, like, everyone's doing it now, and it's like it's not actually a value add to the company.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I'm in a group, a KPI related group from the ski trip that we went on, and that is the new thing, that everybody's obsessed with building apps. And I get it if it's solving a particular problem in your business. Like a friend of mine, he had this massive spreadsheet and it was so unwieldy and it would go wrong, and they've turned that into an app, and now it's like speeding up a process. But I know people that are building apps that they might like put out to the public, or they might try and sell. Like there's a guy in our group, Lee Russell, who's like saying like it's all well and good like having it internally, but you can't just build something and put it out to the outside world because nobody's thinking about like security or the frameworks you need around it, or I don't know. It's just, I don't know. I do think a lot. I was just saying before we started, I am afraid that AI is the new like shiny magpie thing for business owners that could be an absolute time drain and actually negatively impact someone's business, not because they're implemented, but because they're just spending so much time now on it. They've forgotten all the other things that still need to happen and be improved and tweaked. And
well, the things that I say to people, if you're going to use AI, it needs to help you in one of three ways, right? So does it help you get more cash in the bank? Mm-hmm. Does it help you get more leads into the business? Does it help you close more sales? Because without those three things, you've not got a business, right?
Business is rubbish without that, isn't it?
Trap, isn't it? Yeah. So I think if you're using these tools with that in mind, then it should absolutely be something you do. But
do you think that is then that 3 steps? Is that literally the first place you should look for AI to go? Just going to try and improve or increase these 3 things in the business?
Yeah, because everything's downstream from there.
Yeah,
right?
that's great.
Everything, if you can get more cash in the bank, more sales coming in, more leads better quality leads coming in, then the staffing issues you've got aren't as bad.
Yeah.
The admin stuff you've got isn't as bad because you've got cash, you've got sales coming in, you've got leads coming in, just everything feels less heavy.
So true.
And I say that to people all the time that come to me. And also the other risk with AI at the moment is, I don't know about you, but everyone is like outsourcing their thinking totally 100% of the time. It's like someone will send me a business plan or some kind of marketing strategy, and it's clearly churned out by ChatGPT with no thought process behind it at all. It just doesn't make any sense, and that's concerning because people that shouldn't really be in business are thinking they're an expert now because they've got ChatGPT at their side.
Oh my God, I so agree. It's not an immediate impact, but I do think it is going to make people a bit like dumber, or they're just going to stop. I saw Alex Hormozy talking about it, and like that and this now is the first time I've heard people talking about it, but I totally agree. Again, to mention, my ops manager is a bit obsessed with that, and he's found this tool which runs whatever you've been sent. I can't remember what it's called now, but it runs whatever you've been sent through it to tell you how much of it is AI or not. And it can tell like which systems it's come from. And the amount of things that now are just like people aren't even thinking through to like, so people like in our business, like somebody resigned and the whole thing was just like a ChatGPT, email that had been sent. Some of our clients are not sending anything now that's not been run through a message of like, I don't know. I think like dumber and also confidence. I feel like some people have lost a bit of confidence to not do it without running it through that first, just to sense check all of the angles.
Yeah. Yeah. And the other thing is, if you don't like set these things up like Claude or ChatGPT properly, they're set up and designed to agree with everything you say, really.
Yeah.
Because they want you to spend more time on the platform. So unless you configure these things properly to make sure that it's actually, telling you if it's a bad idea or conflicting with you a little bit, then you're actually getting poor information from it because it's simply agreeing with everything you say. Oh, that's a great idea. That's a great idea as well. Suddenly you've got all these great ideas, and then the overwhelm begins, like which one do I go with and how do I actually start this thing? So practical stuff is where people should be at, and I always tell that to people. 3 things: does it get you more cash, more sales, and more leads? That's the 3 things to focus on.
And do you think, because one of the things that's made, I think it's such a time drain for a lot of people, is that it's easy to access in a way, like everybody can get ChatGPT and everybody can get Claude, but it doesn't mean the stuff that they're outputting is any good, as you said. So is there do you think those 3 things that you kind of look at first, do you think that needs an AI expert to make the changes, make the implementations? Do you think it is possible for a business owner to go, well, okay, like I saw that you were chatting on another podcast recently about some AI agents that can qualify inbound leads, and they're not actually having the sales call, but they're getting them booked into a discovery call, which is everyone's dream, to have like a diary of just discovery calls lined up, isn't it? So but is that technical stuff that you've been talking about, or is it quite easy for a business owner to implement?
Hard one to say. So I'm not technical
Okay.
at all. I'm not very good at many things, to be honest, Emma. But I can usually pull resources together, which is
Yeah.
probably a strength.
You've got a lot of agency. You can make things
Yeah,
happen.
yeah, free spirit. So it depends. I've got a few clients who are really good with this stuff. They know how to prompt it. They know how to set things up. I've got other people who are nowhere near it. I think with AI, start with one thing that is going to make a material difference and give you an ROI as quickly as possible. If you're going to bring in someone to the business as a consultant, as an advisor,
Yeah.
I think it needs to be someone who understands how to actually use AI in the real world. So somebody that's been through a business growth journey, somebody that's sold a business, somebody that's had failures in business, not someone who's just updated a LinkedIn profile, telling the world they're a business coach,
Yeah.
churn out LinkedIn slop using ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Those people don't know how to practically implement AI into your business. So whether it's me, whether it's you, whether it's anyone, if you need someone if you're bringing someone as an advisor, it needs to be someone who can actually practically look at these things. That is this going to help you? Is this going to move the needle? Is it going to make the boat go faster? And that's again what I would optimize for if you're bringing people in. But to answer your question, business owners, if you have the time to do it, great. But people that we speak to, Emma, don't quite often, and you're probably just giving yourself more things to do.
Totally. I think it really needs saying. I think there's going to be so many people out there that feel like they're behind, and then because of that, they'll just go, I must start. I don't know what I'm starting with or what I'm doing, and then they're just going to waste a load of time. I've sat in so many rooms recently where people have been talking about AI, and then they've said who's using AI, and everybody will put their hand up, and then they'll go like, who's using AI more than ChatGPT or Claude? Hardly anybody puts their hand up. And I just mean, when I say Claude, I just mean like a conversational back and forth. I don't mean co-work and stuff. Yeah. So do you know, I feel like everybody thinks everybody's way ahead, but they're not. Everybody's at the same stage. Though, of course, there's a few outliers, and there's like the 1%, but I think it does need saying that, like, implement small, tiny, incremental, but don't just waste so much time on it.
Well, I'm maybe doing you guys a pitch here, right? But if you're bringing like an assistant in or an appointment setter or whoever, if they can use these tools effectively rather than you as the founder, then that's great. Oh
my gosh.
That's a game changer. But again, they need to know which tools to use rather than getting lost down the rabbit hole as well.
Totally agree. Totally. So when you start working with a client, obviously like AI is an improver, but how do you, what like, is there like a framework or a journey? Like, what do you look at first to understand, even if you would work with a client, but like to look at where the business is at? What like lens do you look at that through?
So the first thing we start with is an audit, actually. Okay. So we've got this 7-day intensive audit where we can't really improve or optimize the business until we understand where it's at today.
Yeah.
So that audit process is where we take the business through a valuation process. We understand what the business is worth today. And that allows us to then also work out what the difference is between where you are today and where you want to get to. So if you want to sell, we understand, let's say the business is worth £1 million today. You want to sell for £5 million in 2 years' time, 3 years' time. Well, we know then that there's a gap of 4 million and we need to come in and implement an acquisition strategy. We need to increase the margins you've got, margin expansion. We need to do a bunch of different things to get to that point, but it starts with the audit. We don't really do anything with anyone until they've done an audit process, because it allows us to assess where the business is, gives the business owner clarity as well, even if you're not actually looking to sell. Because the key thing, and again, I know Daniel Priestley talks about this, to name drop him again, but it's that optionality, right? It's having a business that you can sell if you choose to, or you can retain and just enjoy it as a lifestyle business.
Yeah.
Just having that optionality. Most people won't sell their business, and that's not unusual.
Yeah. I can
Most
fully
businesses,
imagine.
yeah, like going back to my mum and dad's business, they had the opportunity to sell that many times, never did. And the reason I got into this world in the first place was I wanted to avoid that happening to me and happening to as many clients as I possibly could.
Yeah.
Because a business is an asset at the end of the day. If you can pass it to your kids or something, great. But you should look to build it towards a sale, even if you don't choose to do that, because there's actually no downside benefit. There's no downside to that.
Totally. Like, yeah, whether you sell it or not, the process of moving it towards being saleable is probably one of the best kind of exercises you can go through in your business, I'm sure. This might be a stupid question, but tell me what you like if you consider this. So one of the things with AI, so I definitely spent too much time worrying about my business in AI last year because wherever it's going, and I've reconciled all that now. I know that the human connection of really high agency is where it's going to, and that's what we're about in the EA. I know a lot of admins like should be automated, but when you've got someone that's really like got a lot of agency and can understand where a business owner wants to go, I get all that. But I guess none of us know where it's really going to end up in the next. I feel like people talk about 2030 a lot as quite a changing point of the world, the economy, the workforce, and what that looks like, and then obviously beyond that. And just from a business saleable perspective, does that ever enter into like people's kind of future planning now, like yours or Nick's? Because where I'm going with this is that, so we're 2026 now, in 3 years' time, or like at the end of 2029, going into 2030, not to make it a depressing question, but do you ever think that there's kind of not a time limit, but there's like a future point where we're like, this would be the point really where you'd want to be able to sell the business because nobody knows what 2030 to 2035 looks like. Do you know what I mean? Does that enter your mindset or anybody else's in terms of planning for some future businesses? And some will be affected more than others, some that are people heavy, affected more than if you're selling, I don't know, a product or a widget or something. But I don't know, does that come into planning now because the world's so unusual?
So I told you off here, I'm a conspiracy theorist, so you're asking me a lot of interesting questions here.
I am also a conspiracy theorist, so we're in good company with each other.
I'll try and keep my tinfoil hat off as much as possible. If we're not taken over by robots by that point, I think with the AI thing, and there's a lot of moving parts here, in my opinion, professional services type companies that are all online, for example, or can be automated. Things like marketing companies, things like accountancy firms. Yes, you still need these people. There's still a demand for the really high performing ones, but the ones that are kind of middle of the road, that are not unique, that are not providing a good enough or high quality enough service to their clients, they can be wiped out. I don't have any doubt about that. Even standard consultants, advisors, you need to bring different things into your wheelhouse. I think what's interesting is businesses that have been more blue collar. There's an argument to say that they might become more valuable. So as that part of the white collar job market starts getting squeezed, where do those people go? Well, they'll probably go into the labour market. So plumbers, electricians, roofers, all that sort of stuff. There's an argument to say those businesses become more valuable because they can't be taken over fully by AI, right? You need that. You need boots on the ground. At the same time, there's also an argument to say if there's an influx of people into that world, then there's a lot more competing on price.
Totally.
It's a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
So going back to your earlier question, it's so difficult to predict. No, anyone that really says with any confidence what's going to happen in the next few years doesn't really know. Nobody knows. It's impossible to see what's round this corner. what I would say to people is, so this is one thing I've done is try and diversify. So when I say diversify, I've acquired stakes in 15 to 20 companies in the last few years, small stakes. And the reason for that is diversification. So rather than having all my eggs in one basket,
Yeah.
I've taken equity stakes in multiple companies so that, one, I can add a lot of value, but if there is problems in a certain industry, I'm not getting completely destroyed by one thing in one industry.
Yeah.
So I've diversified income, diversified across different industries, different locations. I think that's key. And that's something that actually is very possible for most business owners to achieve, or most consultants, most like high level people. And the reason I say that is, if you're really, really good at AI, if you're really good at tech, you can position yourself to founders as the solution to their AI problem. So, or if you're great at finance, if you're a CFO, if you're a finance director, and a business you approach is struggling with cash flow, or they're not pricing jobs properly, if you position yourself as the solution to that problem, then you can get retainers, get equity, profit share, revenue share, a variety of different ways to monetize. And you can do that multiple times. You don't need to do that on one business. So I think that's an interesting way that people should start thinking about. Like, you're actually seeing a lot of people becoming fractional at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're seeing this.
Yeah.
You're seeing a lot of people who are leaving corporate jobs or whatever, and they're becoming a bit more fractional. And that's not a bad idea, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree. We were talking about this today because my PA has a fractional COO, a fractional CFO. We are ultimately fractional EAs, or people would call it virtual assistant, but fractional EAs. Yeah, no, I totally agree. That is the way the world is going, because of the value added, but also like everybody's talking about it, but like the human relationship part of it is going to become so key. Because in theory, I can use Claude to ask CFO questions, can't you? I can ask for it to analyze and plan, and it can, in theory, do a lot of the things that even like with coaches, but people in the main don't want that, do they? They
It's
want human
context, right, as
connection.
well. It doesn't have the context of what your business is and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course. So the world is changing a lot. We know that. And as you said, no one can see around the corner. And even in the past 12 months in the UK, a lot has changed. And you have moved to Dubai. Has it been in the last 12 months, or were you at the beginning of the curve?
Yeah, I was definitely not at the beginning of the curve. I've been out here for just over 12 months now. And a lot's happened in that time, for sure.
Yeah. And I haven't spoken to anyone on the podcast about like the Dubai move. What triggered that? Was it a particular like financial thing? Was it way of life?
Combination of everything. I think anyone that tells you it's not tax related is not telling the whole truth. Of course there's that. But more importantly, and this might sound ironic considering what's going on, and it potentially is, but safety was a big thing.
Yeah.
As it's as safe now, it's debatable. And you've got the childcare thing, so and education. So our kids, one of our kids was in school back in the UK. Standard was really, really poor, and we thought there's better than this. There's got to be better than this, and so a combination of that, the sunny weather, the lifestyle, all of that. That's not to say there's not downsides, and there's downsides with everything. There's upsides with everything. But on the whole, it's been a great move from a business perspective. Dubai, most people know this. It's in a great place. Most people pass through here. It's good with that, but it's intense. So one thing I'm guilty of, which hopefully you guys can help me with in the future, is I am a workaholic, right? So when I get in, when I'm surrounded by things to do, I just want to do it, and I sometimes forget to peel myself away from a laptop and go and enjoy life a little bit. So because there's this entrepreneurial spirit here and energy, you sometimes can't help but get swept up by it, and you've got to kind of check yourself and say enough's enough. So
Oh, really?
there's always more deals to be done. There's always more, things to do. Which
And does that just come from like there's lots of events on all the time, or like the expat? I don't know if that's the right word, but the kind of entrepreneurial expat community is all quite close. Or when you say like you can, like, is there always something you could go to or meet, or because I have heard it's very, very. Like there's a lot of energy around, everybody wants to help each other.
yeah.
You've obviously got like a lot of high level people out there who, like, that kind of not switching off. Is that because there's just a lot of stuff happening? Like, if I was to move there tomorrow, is it easy to get into the groove of the entrepreneurial community that's there?
Yeah, I think with here, there's always somebody that's got the next big thing. Right. So, I mean, I don't know the ins and outs of this. I was chatting to a guy the other day, and he was telling me that he's part of a business that makes money betting on shipping containers.
What?
Which is
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know what's in these shipping containers. I don't really want
Right.
to know, but basically they bet on these shipping containers, and they all make, like, the broker on these shipping containers, and they make money from it. And he was asking me if I wanted to get involved, and I'm like, absolutely no chance. But there's people like that in every conceivable business idea you've ever thought of. There's people making money on different things, allegedly. Allegedly. And if you're not careful when you first get here, you can get swept up in all that shiny object syndrome, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's important to stay in your own lane where possible. It can be quite transactional here in terms of relationships.
Right.
I've got some really good friends here that we've made, but naturally, because of the place it is, people just want to do business. And
Really?
so surface level relationships, which is okay. But if you're looking for more
Deep
kind of
and
deep,
meaningful.
it's maybe not like that.
And so if someone was listening to this and like, I've been thinking about it, I am going to make the move. How does that work? So say they don't know anyone. Is there stuff you can easily like jump onto, join? Like, how does somebody get into this kind of community that's going on?
In terms of Dubai or
In Dubai, sorry,
Dubai. Probably Claude. I'm talking about not using AI. Claude's probably a good place to start. There is a bunch of communities, and it is very referral based here.
Okay.
So if you're going to do business, or if you're going to set up here, there's lots of people that will refer you, and you're always better going with somebody that is referred, because again, there's a lot of people who are here who will just take your money without giving you the right service.
Yeah.
And that happens everywhere. But if you're looking to move here, maybe not right now, but if you're looking to move here, is speak to people that are on the ground that have actually been here for 12 months at least, because they can tell you who the best broker is, tell you who the best community is, depending on your scenario, your school situation, stuff like that. Dubai's not cheap though. I think that's obvious to say.
Yeah.
If you have a good level of income, you can live here, no problem. But if your income's quite choppy and or unpredictable, or just not at a certain level, then it's probably not a good idea, because everything you pay for here, right? You pay for the house, school, healthcare, insurance, all that sort of stuff. So if you've got the means to do that, then fine. But otherwise, maybe not.
Got it. And again, tell me if this is a stupid question, but am I right in thinking if somebody is thinking about setting up their business in Dubai, that I totally understand the cost of living is generally higher. That also kind of correlates with the fact that most people that move out there then end up earning more because of like less tax, but also just from a pricing level. Is it that the price, so say I've got a virtual assistant business, which I do, and you're going to move to Dubai, or say you've got like an accountancy business. Is it right that you say that the pricing in the UK, it would be at a higher level in Dubai? Does that normally follow through?
In some respects, yeah. So like my accountant is in Dubai is probably the same price as what I'd pay back in the UK. As an example. But then there's other things that are just much more expensive. Like, for example, you have to renew your company trade license every year.
Yeah.
So obviously back in the UK, Companies House, one time setup fee, what is it now, 20 quid or something?
Something like that.
Something crazy. Whereas here it's much more expensive than that, and you have to pay it every year. So there's certain things that are less, and other things that are more. So it kind of depends. Even things like food and stuff is generally speaking more expensive.
Yeah.
Rental prices are probably in par with London.
Okay.
But it depends. Clearly, there's the no tax thing, which kind of balances out a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because the last time I went to Dubai, I was on a hen do last April, but I do know that going out for dinner is considerably more expensive, isn't it? Especially when like a bottle of wine here and a dinner is completely different in Dubai.
When they saw you guys probably turning up the hen party, they probably thought, let's think it's surprises for these guys coming here.
Totally. Okay, just wanted to flip back a little bit to your what you do now, which is ultimately scaling, selling, exiting. But you also support businesses in turning them around. Is that right? Like turning around situations. And I just wanted to ask you, because even this morning, I saw an Instagram post from Layla Hormozy, and it basically said that your business revenue, wherever it is now, is a reflection of your skill set as the business owner. Which I think is completely true. Like from my own experience, each time we've leveled up, I know that I've been a better business owner. I've like kind of let something go, or I've improved on something. And I just wondered, like in the turnaround situations that you support businesses with, are there either like very key similarities on the business owner themselves in terms of like, are they on the wrong things, stuck in the weeds, not working strategically? Is there some commonalities that you see over and over again? Because it's very hard for as a business owner, like you said at the beginning of this, there is no manual. So you just learn bit by bit, don't you? I just wondered if there's like any commonalities that you can kind of list that might be helpful for somebody to go, gosh, yeah, that is me right now.
Yeah, I think that the reality of the situation is, despite what a lot of people see on Instagram with a lot of these people showing off Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff, which are usually rented, by the way. To be honest, the reality is, for everybody, most people, the first few years in business are really, really tough.
Yeah.
Like for most people, most industries, that's the reality. And if you've got a different perception of that, it's probably not true. The skills that you need to get from 0 to 1 million, 1 to 5, 5 to 10, they're just so different. Like that kind of hustle, culture is what you need at the beginning.
Yeah.
And that energy and stuff, but eventually that works against you as you scale.
Yeah.
Because you need to create less founder dependency, you need to trust other people, you need to be able to delegate. And these are all things that we do struggle with. You tend to find that business owners start a business because they're really good at the thing they do. So if you're an electrician, you're a great electrician.
Yeah.
But you're shit at business. Right?
Totally.
If you're a painting decorator, same thing. You're great at painting, decorating, but you're crap at doing cash flows, pricing jobs, etc. So when it comes to turnarounds, a lot of people get themselves into trouble because they don't have those skills. And why would they? Because they've not been shown. And again, the school system doesn't get people ready for a business. They don't, in actual fact, maybe less so in the future, but people are encouraged to go into university. Mm-hmm. And I'm not bashing if you get a good degree, but if you're going to university, getting yourself into debt potentially, you're not learning any real world skills in a business, And then you leave that, you don't get the job you're looking for, you might start a business, you're in debt, you don't know how to manage cash flow. There's a bunch of reasons why that happens. I do less turnarounds nowadays, and the reason for that is they are quite energy draining.
I'm sure.
Really energy draining. And it's great to get people through the other side of that, but going through that every day is again. So you've seen this with clients that you've taken on in the past. I'm sure, Emma, you'll have clients you've got right now. You think these are the best clients ever.
Yeah.
You might have one or two that, God, he's a real nightmare to work with.
Yeah.
And he's just not your right fit. It's important to make sure that you're not like for me, it's important to not take on so many of them anymore. I still do turnarounds when it makes sense to do so, when I'm aligned with the owner. Because some people do get themselves into trouble, and it's not through lack of knowledge, it's through not being the best business owner or not being the best leader.
Yeah.
Sometimes intentionally. So, and they might not have the right morals. But generally speaking, yeah, people get themselves into trouble because they just don't have the skill set. They don't have someone they can lean on. They've never been through it before. And that's normal. So I think when you get to a certain level, and you mentioned that it's important to find other people that you can bring in. It doesn't need to be somebody taking equity. It doesn't even need to be somebody you pay. You might have a friend or a mentor that can help you just from an advice perspective.
Yeah.
That's the things that ChatGPT and Claude can't give you.
Oh my God, I so agree. Totally. And that's exactly the journey that we've been through a little bit in the past 12 months. Like we started working with Mike, our fractional COO, like last summer. Our CFO, Paul, joined in January. And it's one of those things that I wish I'd done sooner, because you try and figure things out and you learn, but with all the best will in the world, a business owner can't hold every role, can they? And so many of them, it is why, I don't know what the figure in the UK is, like maybe 4% of businesses get above $1 million. And I think it is like one of the key reasons for that, isn't the business owner is kind of like spread over the top of everything, trying to keep it all moving. And for us, definitely this year, like we've had our best quarter, this Q1, for a really long time. Well, maybe when I say a long time, maybe like the last 18 months, we've been quite stagnant, I guess is the word. But leveraging my time in key places has been the biggest uplift in the business.
And I'm guessing that's where you get the most enjoyment from anyway. Again, to use this name of this podcast, the most fun from.
Yeah, no, exactly. So then it's all kind of like this just flywheel of the more energy I've got, the better conversations I have and connections and ideas. I was on a podcast the other day and I was just talking about how I think having time to think as a business owner is one of the most underrated things as well. Like, a lot of business owners will have chocker calendars. If it's not kind of back to back, if there's not loads of calls in, it doesn't feel like it's a normal week. But especially because there are so many different options and avenues you can go down now, and there's so many things to try and consider, implement. I think just being in a good energy and having some thinking time is some of the best stuff you can make happen in your business. You're making that possible.
Yeah, and there's nobody else in the business that can do that role. Like, you as the visionary, you are the only person that can really bring that creativity and the vision together, and you need that space to do it. And again, there's a difference between being busy and being productive. Yeah, and a lot of people are they're too busy rather than being productive.
Totally.
The thing about filling calendars, I mean, that, by the way, everything I'm telling you here, I've done myself many times and still do to an extent. But my calendar's been full of absolute rubbish in the past. it shouldn't be in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think people need to optimize for creativity, as you said.
Yeah. So and because there is just so much possibility for creativity now, isn't there? Like literally, the world is your oyster. So just flipping back to AI a little bit. In your own businesses, in businesses that you're working with, I know we've talked about money in the bank, leads. Can we just maybe go into a little bit more detail just to kind of set people off on the right path, how you're looking at that, whether it's, agents taking leads from websites, or is there kind of some real common things that are having a big impact in businesses? And even if like somebody's like, can just get the idea and then go away, and how could that work for me?
Some of the tools that I'm using just now for different things, the best one I can recommend is Gamma.ai.
Oh, right.
Gamma.app, I think it's called. So basically, the days of spending time on a PowerPoint presentation are gone, right? This thing's phenomenal. So I do a lot of discovery calls, sales presentations, that sort of stuff. So I can take a transcript, I can take information from a call that I've had, I can upload it into Gamma, and it'll create a presentation within seconds that aligns exactly with what I want to show them. It looks professional. So that's, I think, £20 a month. It's if you're in sales or if you do a lot of presentations or anything like that, that's a phenomenal tool. Really easy to use as well.
Gosh, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And Claude is my go-to. So if you know how to use Claude and you know how to prompt it, Claude can do things like research potential leads. It can also take lead lists that you've generated, and it can connect to these different apps like Apollo and Hunter.io. It can
That's the apps that kind of like scrape emails and things, is it? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and you've got Clay and you've got LinkedIn and all the rest of it. So it can get that information for your target audience. It can then start building things within Claude. So Claude's one of these, Claude Cowork can now actually do tasks. So it can build lists, it can create emails, it can do things for you, which is good. Again, it takes a while to really understand how to use these things. So that's the caveat. Other things that we use, so you mentioned that a couple of times, Emma. So we call it a deal sourcing machine. We've got a number of bespoke AI workers or agents, if you want to call it that. And basically what they do is they email prospects about your product or service. They reply to the prospect when they come back. And the ultimate aim of the AI agents is to book a discovery call into your diary. So we find that works pretty well, particularly so we have a lot of clients who want to buy businesses.
Okay.
So they want to find acquisition opportunities. So that works really well for them. And again, that takes away all the manual cold calling, LinkedIn DMs, researching, takes all that away. That's quite specialist and took a while to build that.
I'm sure. And that agent, is that like messaging conversation back and forth that we're talking about here?
Yeah, it can. It can go back multiple times, and is undetectable really to someone.
Wow.
Really, really good. But again, it uses things like chat and Claude to get the language right, so it comes across really humanized, not like AI slop. So practical tools like that, even things like LinkedIn, right? Like if you're going to be able to post 5 to 7 times a week, which is what most people are now saying is the optimal amount of times to post, that's difficult to do on your own. You need to use certain tools out there to help you. Claude can do it. You've got Stanley, which is good. You've got a few other ones that are pretty good. Use the tools wisely if they're going to help you. Don't just randomly start using tools that don't actually help. Those are the ones that we're using typically day to day.
Yeah. And just so, for example, on the LinkedIn one, and because still you can see a mile off, can't you, when somebody has put an idea into whatever, ChatGPT or Claude, and they've created a post because it's like 3 bullet points and it always says, here's the shocking truth, or here's the, it like has the same phrasing all the time, doesn't it? Here's what I discovered. Do you feel like you've got your flow now of creating LinkedIn posts like to actually sound and feel like Steven just talking as Steven?
Yeah, so what you can do with likes of Claude or chat is you can upload, if you have these things, you can upload podcast episodes you've had. You can upload WhatsApp conversations, your LinkedIn bio, your LinkedIn post that you've done, and some of these tools can connect directly to your LinkedIn profile and it will actually read the post you've written before. Most important thing for people when you're using things like Claude is you can upload documents that becomes like a truth, a knowledge base that it always refers to. And you can have I've got a 5-page document that basically is my truth document, and it will always write things based on how I speak, how I want to come across, rather than just making up stuff. And it's referencing like my backstory. It knows my backstory. So anyone can do that. Again,
that's a great idea.
A lot of these ideas, again, we know Daniel, I keep mentioning them, but
don't worry, I've mentioned it in practically every other episode, so we're just keeping the tradition going, don't worry.
So he quite often tells people, get everything written down, all your stories, all that sort of stuff. That's your IP. Everyone's got that. So to avoid writing crap AI posts on LinkedIn or anywhere for that matter, make sure you've optimized your language model properly to begin with, and then it means everything that's coming out at the back end is actually it's your voice, still your stories, but they're doing the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah, what a brilliant idea. Just it seems so obvious now you said it, because as I'm using Claude, I'll say, oh, like base it off this story, but I've never actually just given it a central place or like the one document with everything in it. And also for anybody that kind of struggles with typing it through, I have just started using Whisperflow.
Oh, yeah.
Which, how is that so good? Like, isn't it like it, even if I like talk quietly or try and test it, it just picks up exactly what I've said in good language.
Yeah. Unless you're Scottish. If
Does it struggle with that?
Yeah, people struggle with Scottish accent for sure.
Sorry, were you going to say something then about the document bit? Did I cut you off then?
No. So when people are using Claude, if you look on the left hand side, you'll have projects. So for each individual project, it could be a client project, it could be MML's content strategy, it could be anything. You can name the project whatever you want, and you can upload a bunch of different documents to that project, and then it's got a reference point. It'll have memory, and it means that, because that's the other thing, right? Some of these chats don't remember what's been said in another chat and forgets.
Yeah.
So if you have things contained within a project within Claude, it's easier to keep it all in one place.
Got you. So you put the document of truth in the one project, and then everything spins off that inside that.
Yes.
How brilliant. That's really good. That's actually really helpful for me. Even like the scraping bit. So we do data scrape, but it's been a lot of heavy lifting of us doing it ourselves and creating searches on LinkedIn Navigator and all of that jazz. But I didn't realise Claude could get involved in that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
I hope that doesn't mean you're going to be cutting 5% of your staff next week.
No, not at all. Joe, it's a really interesting question because maybe it doesn't align with a profit mindset, but one of the things I do love about my business is the team. Yeah. Like it's part of, it was going to be one of my questions to you, because I live in these WhatsApp groups where, to be fair, the people in these WhatsApp groups are not 99% of the business world. They're kind of really in all of they're doing the stuff that the 1% are doing. And some people in there are like, oh, in so many years, nobody will have any staff. You'll just have AI agents. And I find it ironic that, because what do they think is going to happen? Like, who's going to buy your thing when nobody's got any jobs? So the whole thing doesn't work through. But how do you feel about that? Like, would you be happy to have a business that is all AI agents and no, like just Steven and no team? Like for me, I don't know, I get a lot of energy from, we've just hit sales target, we're celebrating the wins. And yeah, I don't know whether that sounds ridiculous or it's just a human need to want connection and community. And
yeah, I think it depends what side of the fence you're on. So I started earlier on by saying I don't like working too closely as a manager because I don't like people too much in some ways. but at the same time, when you do work on a project with your team and you succeed, there's nothing better than that,
Yeah.
It's such a great feeling. There's certain things that you have to think about optimizing, because I think it's the businesses that don't start optimizing now will potentially be left behind, because there are people who can start a business with AI as the foundation, and that tends to, the general consensus is that like the first $1 billion one-man company will be out at some point soon.
Yeah.
And I get the idea behind that, but it's also a lonely business. We are social creatures at the end of the day, aren't we? So I think a small team is probably best. That's probably what I would say.
Yeah, no, I think that's, I'm aligned with you there. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to manage the team, but I do enjoy celebrating with them and being around them and, oh, can you believe this has happened? I think you're totally right. I think the high-performing people with agency, as Daniel would say, they are the people that you're going to want to keep on the team, the people that are using AI. Yeah,
people that are bringing value to the company.
Value.
Like I would say, in contrast, like if you look at something like the HMRC or one of these big government organisations, they've got far too much wastage. People just in jobs for no reason. They don't bring any value. And that's something that's obviously happened over the last 20 years across big corporate companies as well.
Yeah.
So there is people are just not pulling their weight. So if you're going to, people that survive, whether it's employees or founders, you're adding value. I think that's the main, like, I'm guessing when you bring people into your business, you can't be a passenger. You've got to bring something to the table.
100%. That is literally the saying, like, we're all on the same journey to make everything happen. We're not a big enough entity. You can just be a number and sit around. We're all having to do the thing. Totally get that. God, I can't believe the past hour has absolutely flown by. I don't want to keep you too much longer over your time. I guess I just want to ask Steven, for you, like, you're in Dubai, you're clearly in charge of your time freedom, you're working with lots of cool businesses. For you, what is focusing on the fun stuff in your business? Like, what does that mean to you, and how do you make sure that it happens?
The thing that I really enjoy most, what I do, is helping founders to achieve what they want to do. So whether it's building a better business, which means for them more time with the family, or having more money in the bank, or being able to go that extra holiday every year. Some people it is to build towards an exit. And, those types of conversations really help me. And one thing that I really enjoy is when we go and try and buy businesses. So that process of finding a business, negotiating if we can try and do the deal, closing the deal, that's exciting. So that's what I enjoy. I like helping founders to achieve their goals.
Amazing. I love that. Steven, today's been absolutely fantastic. So much good stuff in there, and practical stuff as well, which is what I always love. Thank you so much for being a guest, the first one ever remotely on Focus on the Fun Stuff.
Thanks very much for inviting me. I appreciate it.